All right. Can you guys hear me? Great. If so, yeah, let's get this started right away. Let's real quickly just start with an introduction. Let's see who we got here. We got Verit, one of the owners, the head of our scripting department. We got Zerar, also one of the owners. We got Zeal, one of our scripters. We got Jonathan, one of our modelers, and Jamal, one of our modelers. And then me, assistant head developer. I should also mention Zerar, head developer. Um, yeah, all right. We're going to be doing some. Well, Zeal is about to tell you what we're going to be doing today. We're going to be showcasing some stuff. And yeah, let's hurry this up. Zeal, to you.
All right. So as you might be very well aware, we are currently in the process of developing Biollante. I am unmuted. Good. We're currently in the process of developing Biollante, and we actually had some very exciting news to share with all of you. We've been making very steady progress on the Kaiju over the past couple of weeks, and we believe that the Kaiju is at a sufficiently good enough level to where we can truly show all of you the state it's currently in and give you hints on when the release. So let's see what we have prepared. All right. So I expect all of you liked the teaser. When I saw that, I was very excited. I think we really outdid ourselves with not just this teaser, but also this kaiju. Now I want to show you guys the kaiju in game for the first time. This is not going to be a full look. There are some things that are still being adjusted. I got disconnected. There's some things that are still being adjusted. And one second, I have to restart roll. And some things might change between now and the release, but mostly everything is finished. And um, yeah, we will be going over some of the really cool things. I'll be showing you guys the model, and I'll also be having Dice here actually answer some of the really interesting development decisions we've made for Biollante. Biollante has been very challenging, but also a very exciting kaiju for us. Biollante is very old, as you might know. It's one of the oldest models in our game. Here we go. The stream is now up. It's Biollante is one of the oldest models we have in our game, and giving it a facelift like we have is something that is actually quite difficult because not only do we have to live up to the idea of what Biollante really is in the Biollante is a very famous kaiju. It is one of the best known kaijus from the Godzilla franchise, even outside of this community. But it also has quite a bit of a history in kaiju universe. It's a kaiju that really has had its own unique identity for several years. Um, and we put a lot of thought into thinking what are we going to do with the free model that keeps the same vibe while also have being something new and refreshing. So one thing I really like about this model that you can't see too well in the teaser is if we look at the glowing life orb right here, you can actually see it has a really cool pulsating effect. I was very stunned when I saw this the first time. It's really amazing what they pulled off. um the detail of the model, I think, is absolutely incredible. I am going to zoom in right here. You can see a lot of the vines. You can see branches and stuff coming from Biollante. You can see all of the tentacles. They're all animated individually, and this idle animation is actually quite long. I'm not going to be showing all of it. It's like 2 minutes long or something. Has a lot of very interesting interactions, and parts of it are actually quite funny. So here we have our first roar. As you've seen in the teaser, we have also the first attack that was used. And with the first attack, I will be getting into one of the two major mechanics for Biollante, which is that we realize that we don't make much use of multi-hit attacks currently. Also, there is no sound as of right now. It's still to be implemented. It will be implemented on release. Roblox is not having any. Also, whatever stats you might see, in case we hit any buildings, they are not final. Biollante has been sort of balanced already, but we are still going to do several rounds more to make sure the Kaiju releases the best possible state. So we realized that most multi-hit attacks are something that we don't use a lot. It's a feature that we put a lot of effort into making for the initial combat overhaul all the way back in 2021, if you remember that. And yet we ended up not using it. And I think part of that is because a lot of those old moves weren't really made for it, you know? Like those old moves are not bad, but they were made in the mind of being one single hit, one and done. And whenever we converted those to a multi-hit attack, what ended up happening is if you missed the kaiju for just a split second, you would end up losing on a lot of damage. So for Biollante, what we have done is every other move you use will be a multi-hit attack. You can see it outlined in green. I will even show you the second attack. And this allows us to essentially incorporate this mechanic in a really cool way that wouldn't really be possible with other kaiju. So, for example, on the second move right here, the regular non-combo variant has both of these tentacles up front attack right in front of Biollante, whereas the multi-hit version actually has them attack from different sides. And both of these can hit. There is an overlap area in which you will deal considerably more damage. On the other hand, the first attack right here is just a simple single attack, but whenever you use it in a combo version, you can see it deals damage continuously in an area. We think this is going to be very interesting. We are very excited to see how this plays out in the grand scheme of Kaiju Universe. And I'm sure you guys are also very excited about what I mentioned the other day in our development channel, saying that Biollante is going to have a never before seen mechanic, and it will. See it right here, in fact. But we will not be showing that today. We decided that we want you guys to experience the price for the first time, and we will talk more about it after the Kaiju. So I wanted to actually talk about you guys. I wanted to have you talk about um, some of the decisions that went into making Biollante, into remaking it more specific.
Yeah.
A lot of the things that you had to discuss with our fellow developers and a lot of the ideas.
Mm-hmm. Um, well, yeah, Biollante, of course, is an extremely largely anticipated kaiju. Not only that, um, but it is a large kaiju in and of itself. Because of this, there were several roadblocks, like for instance the tentacles, which weren't as perfect as they are in game right now in terms of animation. Uh, we actually had to go a long way to really make sure they looked nice. Each of them having their own little interactions and doing their own little things. Um, but yeah, overall, of course, the model, thanks to Jamal, somebody who you'll be seeing more of in the stream later, she has done an incredible job. Um, and yeah, it looks gorgeous. Zeal, if you could maybe zoom in on the head real quick, that simply shows like the amount of work and detail that went into this kaiju. Um, yeah, of course. We also had to really work with the like I've mentioned earlier, the major expectations that people have. And I do think that we'll definitely deliver on it. Again, as you can see in game right now, the effects that it has, it's quite like nothing we've ever really had before. The amount of stuff that really went into this. The community has really been asking for something great, and yeah, it hopefully will be able to show that we really um, want to deliver on that, and hopefully this will be one of the well, really pillar stones of our Kaiju roster.
All right. I did have one more thing I wanted to mention about Biollante. So, due to we actually had a community vote about this, and we are at a point where the new Biollante is a very well fleshed out kaiju, and it's actually um I'm not sure how much stronger the original Bio or weaker brother. I am not sure how it compares to the original Biollante in terms of just yet. But it is a kaiju that was famously underpriced, particularly because it's not a very good kaiju. The old Biollante, it's very dated and hasn't aged well. So we actually had a community about this. For the Biollante remodel, you will be keeping your levels up to a certain point. We will probably make it either level 50 or level 75. However, ownership of Biollante will not be transferred. What this means is that you will have to reacquire the kaiju, but once you do, you will be able to keep the majority of your levels, and so you will not have to grind it again a considerable amount. Um, and yes, I believe this is all we wanted to show with Biollante. Thank you guys for having me. You want to see it swim? Sure. Let's see it swim. The swim animation is actually very good. And it actually gets us the opportunity to show you that the Biollante's underside is no longer just a slab. It's now actually properly modeled and it moves and everything. And here you can see idle animation. Here you can see regular swim animation. And I'm using this attack at great risk because I might have the debug box is still enabled, but you can even have a little dash. Whee! All right, yeah. Um, this kaiju will be releasing this weekend. I am very excited to see what you guys think about it, how you react, and we'll see you guys then about that. So I'm going to close my mic right now. We're going to be moving on to the next section of this live stream.
All right, then let's move on to the next quick thing real quick, and that's going to be we're going to be taking questions. Um, yeah, we are going to have a few of these little segments in which we'll be accepting questions asked by the community. Um, yeah, let me see real quick. Yeah, let's get ready for that. All right, so I should real quickly tell you, everybody, get to the Discord. There will be a channel opening in which you'll be able to ask questions. Oh, sorry, the channel is already open. That channel will be Dev Questions. In there, you'll be able to ask us questions, and we'll slowly, all of us, start asking or answering these questions. We'll be giving the community some time to properly phrase and ask your questions. Don't feel rushed to type something out right away. Um, and then we'll start going over a few questions. All right. Well, let's start off with a great hot question. And this one I believe is somewhat a little something I must also confess to, and that's PR news soon. This was a message which I delivered over 200 days ago. As you may very well know, there is not a lot of PR news currently. So the question goes, PR news soon was over 200 days ago. When can we expect to see some actual news? Um, we'll we'll be answering this later. Again, people, take your times, ask some questions. Um, it'll be a little quiet, but we'll just give everybody some time to really put down what they want to ask. Again, I'm seeing some people ask questions in the stream chat. I would like to refer you to the Discord, in which you should probably use the channel Dev Questions. From there, we'll be picking out a few questions and answering them. All right, first off, let's start with the first question, that being, how often will dev streams be? Um, Now, and this might be some very exciting news for people, but dev streams will probably start being weekly or bi-weekly. Very exciting new thing. We're going to start being a lot more in touch with our community. Um, and yeah, we're excited to keep seeing you guys on here. Again, weekly or bi-weekly. We have another question right here. What are the Biollante requirements? Zeal, this question goes to you, of course.
Yeah. So the Biollante requirements right now we are keeping secret, but it does involve Rose Biollante. So if you don't own Rose Biollante, I'm not telling you to get Rose Biollante, but also I'm telling you to Biollante.
All right then. Great answer. Yes, we'll be waiting for some more questions by people, and we'll start answering. Again, don't feel pressured. Take your time.
Hi, I have a question right now. How will Bio's tendrils work? Considering how long they will be spread out from Bio, will they have their own heart boxes or not have a heart box at all to stop Bio from being too big a target? So for this, we are going to we really have a couple solutions to go for. Right now, our current stance on it is that the tendrils themselves, the tentacly bits, if you may, they should not be hitboxes. As you've been able to tell from the previews and from teasers, they go out quite far, especially during a lot of the attacks, and you would be able to get reached very, very easily if they went out too far, if they still were able to be hit, pardon. So the tips of the tentacles, even the halfway part, they are not going to be hittable. However, the very bases of the tentacles, the things you can see Biollante propelling herself with underwater or walking around with, those are still going to be hittable. Those are fairly close to the body, and I believe they are sufficiently enough part of the kaiju to count as a hitbox. We usually have a stance on hit heart boxes, which is that if you are attacking with something and you're attacking with it as a tool, it should not be part of the hitbox. You can see this with Kong's axe or Nutcracker's glaive, I believe it was, or Jet Jaguar's spear. Um, we sometimes make other exceptions. Some kaijus like Showa Mechagodzilla have received box extensions because they were tiny. I believe we also changed how Mothman works to have a smaller hurt box that doesn't include the whole wings. The kaiju itself is quite small. We couldn't have just the kaiju be the hurt box, but we can have all the wings be the hurt box because the wings are huge. So yes, you will be able to have fairly consistent hurt boxes in Biollante.
Another question here. A thermo buff was announced a while back. Are you still going through with this? And if so, is it still going to happen soon in the weekly rebalances? Zeal, Verit, one of you?
All right. So we are currently still tuning the balances, but the answer is yes. It's still getting a buff.
Got another question right here. Um, could you explain again what's happening to the Volcanic Biollante Game Pass? Is it getting any perks? Verit, would you be able to answer this?
We are planning on remodeling the current bio at some point. You'll see it in the future.
All right, interesting. Again, people, to those who are confused, I still see some questions in the YouTube comments of the stream. Ask them in the dev questions uh, Discord channel. Um, again, be free to feel free to just keep asking questions while we are moving on, because we will be having more Q&As, or preferably save your questions for our next subject. All right, that's enough of the first Q&A. Though we will be starting off with another question. Now, this question is the one we've had before, and this is about the Pacific Rim announcement. Now, it is very much my pleasure to say that we will actually be able to comment on this now. Jamal, I would like to ask you to start streaming. There we go. We've got Blender open. Um, Again, the question was, when are we going to start seeing PR news? Well, Jamal, I am going to ask you to start turning around or showing our first subject of the matter. And that's this here. People, introducing Leatherback, one of our first upcoming Pacific Rim kaijus. This specific kaiju, of course, is the big, brawny brawler that you're all used to, the very iconic kaiju from Pacific Rim. It bears, of course, its two large fists and its rather small hind legs. This, of course, is modeled by our modeler Jamal. Again, people, um, just show your love and appreciation for our modelers doing their great work. Um, yeah, Jamal, could you possibly show us a pose for Leatherback? There we go there. That's Leatherback jumping, showing that indeed its fingers can properly open up. Um, Jamal, could you maybe give me a close-up on, for instance, the head? Can zoom in real quick. Thank you. Again, this shows the great detail and lengths we go to make sure that our kaijus are of proper quality and really able to fit in our roster. Now, real quickly, we are going to start looking in the channel because I have a little thing to show. A video which will show a small gimmick of our kaiju Leatherback. Just a minute. Here we go. Bert, if you could change the stream to show the picture or the video which I have sent. Oh, apparently we are having some technical difficulties. We will be showing some more stuff regarding this after the stream. They will be sent out to the public. Yeah, so stay tuned for the end of the stream. Stick around, people. Now, Jamal, we've got something more to show, of course. People, Leatherback is not the only PR-related something that we will be showing today. Jamal, the next subject. And that'll be Raiju right here. Raiju, of course. Raiju, of course, being the, well, rather slim crocodilian kaiju from Pacific Rim, shown at the end during the underwater fight scene. It's got the very large and broad tail, and of course, its iconic head. Jamal, could you show us a pose of Raiju which you've prepared? There you go. That shows Raiju's head opening up, as it does in the movie, showing the great detail on the inner head as well. We are very excited to start, well, really showing you more on these kaijus in the near future. So yeah, once again, stay tuned. This is just a little bit of insight on some actual, finally, PR news. Jamal, a little close up again of the head, and I believe after that, I think it is about time we start going into another Q&A real quick to maybe answer some, in light of this information, new questions. All right. Vert, if you could transition us. Again, people, we're going to give you all some time to really preparing some questions. All right, people, we are going to really start asking you to make the questions about each segment. Um, so yeah, keep it PR related. Take your time, ask some questions.
One.
All right, we got our first question here regarding Pacific Rim. And that one is, will all of the PR kaijus release together or individually? Now, I will be saying with this, they will, of course, all be releasing individually. They will not be releasing all together. Though, this will make for a whole bunch to wait up for. Um, so yeah, stay tuned, people. And I would also like to mention with that, the PR kaijus will, of course, all be unique and interesting in their own way. They won't feel like simple repeats of each other, if that is anybody's concern. I've got another question right here, and that is, will the Pacific Rim Game Pass be free or bought with Robux? Now, the very simple answer to this is that it will be free, but people with the Game Pass will get it without needing to meet the requirements. So we will no longer need to worry about necessarily having bought the PR Game Pass or having to buy it in the near future. You will be able to get it with just the KU requirements. Alrighty then, we'll be moving on to our next segment. And that one is, we'll be showing off our active teasers list, and we'll start to update it. All right. Right here, of course, we can see the active teaser list. So let's go over every kaiju real quick. First off, let's look at Super Mechagodzilla. Super Mechagodzilla, of course, is a kaiju which has been very much anticipated. Though, as many can see by the model here teased, it is a very outdated model. Because of this, we have made the decision that we will be updating the model and reconvening on it at a future date. In that sense, it is absolutely not cancelled. It will simply be receiving some updates and small tweaks to make sure that it really is, in the model department 2, up to par with our current models in game. Next up, let's move to Jet Jaguar Alpha. Jet Jaguar Alpha, of course, is the kaiju that is teased here. And I'm very excited to say that it is definitely still coming. And we will be receiving a new image teaser to go alongside it. Stay tuned for that. Oh, here we go. New teaser coming soon. Orga, our next kaiju. That is also the kaiju teased here, as can be seen by its wide mouth. This is another kaiju example, which is the same as Super Mechagodzilla. It is a very, very much anticipated kaiju. And the public would, of course, really like to see the full potential that we can really bring out with this. I am sad to say that we are going to give it some tweaks and upgrades, so it will not be coming right away. But do not fear, it is coming in the future. We are making sure that it is the proper quality that the community and the game requires, and then we will be reconvening about it. Next kaiju, or well, not necessarily a kaiju, our next character is Gypsy Danger. Also, a very much anticipated character in our game, a Jaeger. This kaiju, this character, is absolutely still coming in the upgraded state in which it has been teased. Though, for this, a new teaser will of course be present. Again, in the image under that, you can also see Mudavor. That one was sadly cancelled. Let's move on to the next image. We've got Knifehead right here. This model, shown right here, is cancelled. It was not fully up to par in quality in what we'd like to present to the community, though we will definitely be adding it in the near future with all of the PR hype currently going on. Though this current model in the document is cancelled, and this teaser is no longer valid. Under that, we have Striker Eureka, the head of it, of course. This is a model modeled by Jonathan right here in the stream with us. And right here, you can just see the head. I'm glad to say there is definitely work going on with this kaiju, and we are making sure that it is absolutely, to the best of our abilities, well, ready to go. It is not quite there yet, and you can expect to see some news of it in the future. Next image, please. Right here, we've got the kaiju parts shown during the Christmas event of Clockwork Isle. Now, of course, most of these right here are already added. Biollante, Muto Prime, Ava, G2K. Though, we have a sixth kaiju right here. What exactly this kaiju is, we will not be telling you. Is it still coming? Absolutely. One thing I can confirm, as this has been confirmed in the past, and I don't want to leave any expectations wrong, this is not a kaiju for the Frozen Game Pass. It is its own kaiju. Stay tuned for it, and more news about it. Under that, we have another image of Isla de Mara. The concept for it, at least, the illustration here made by me. About this, I cannot say much. Mainly that a Isla de Mara remodel will at some point still happen. And I believe that is all the teasers we have right there. I would also like to mention something about Gypsy Danger. Verret, do you still have time to real quickly go back to that? I would real quickly, I'm sorry, Striker. Striker Eureka, the image below it. I would real quickly like to give some time to Jonathan to really speak about it, as there are some very interesting things to mention about it. Jonathan?
Hello, my name's John. So for the Strike Eureka model, we showed that head. That's got to be close to 2 years ago now, something like that, or a year and a half at least. And we have developed the body. What we're working on is perfecting a lot of the mechanical motions of it in the manner that we can with, well, some of our newer kaiju. But something the Striker will feature and will be very interesting to see in game, and it'll be very cool to watch move, is all his mechanical parts. So in the movie, he's like a football player. He's very fast. He moves. He's got pistons running throughout all of his body. So this character, in our design of it, he has 48 working pistons throughout his body in his shoulders, neck, ankles, and hips. Additionally, he's got transformation in the chest, in the forearms, as well as many panels throughout him that simulate the movement of muscles, but of course in the mechanically accurate shape to the screen. Additionally speaking, certain parts of him jiggle and they shift and move with the weight. If you saw how we showed Gypsy Danger approximately 6 months ago, it's like that, but dialed up to 11. It's pretty cool to watch, and I think you'll enjoy it.
All right, then let's move on to the next part of this stream. Now, I will definitely say, people, hold on to your butts. Something big is about to come. Our developer, modeler, Jamal, is once again going to start showing off a new kaiju that is coming up. Though this kaiju in no way can be stated to be small or inconvenient. Irrelevant, I'm sorry. Get ready. Verret? Here we go. We have, of course, the kaiju, Destoroyah. This, overall, is our largest kaiju in-game currently. Our most anticipated remodel by a long shot. Right here, we've got a simple display of the model in Roblox. Jamal, if you could do a quick 360. The amount of artistic detail that went into this cannot be understated. This can be seen through several parts, like for instance the head. Jamal, if you could zoom in on that. Simply looking at the face shape, the eyes, the ears, it cannot be understated that this kaiju should and will hopefully live up to every expectation that really there is for it. Like you can see there, a smooth transition into its glowing spike. Yeah. Jonathan, is there something perhaps you could add about this model?
Well, yeah, for this character, there was a lot of thought put into how he should look in game, because when you remaster a suit into a model that has to be viewed from all directions, that's actually a tricky task, because in a movie you can perfectly line up the camera to what you want to see and what you want to hide, what looks a little bit odd. And for Destoroyah, Jamal had a very difficult job in deciding how exactly to portray certain shapes. And I just want to talk about some of her use of the carapace-like armor, the crab kind of details. She had to put a lot of thought into those, and they were quite. It has come out quite nice. She's done a very nice job regarding that. And there are some things that aren't perfectly screen accurate, but we feel that it very, very much captures the essence of the character and his aggressiveness and the detail that would go into his shape. However, I do want to point out that this kaiju looks fantastic, this is a character that will not be coming out for some time, because we're still mastering it and how everything's going to perform. So please be patient with that, and I hope you guys like it, and I think Jamal hopes you like it too.
Thank you, Jonathan. Again, people, Destoroyah, by our great Viking developer, Jamal, Bearded Viking, of course. Yeah. Anyways, we are going to start segueing into our next and almost last subject. I would, again, one more time, because it's very important to note, it is not necessarily coming out soon. It is coming. Don't worry about that. But it is not coming soon. Anyways, we are going to segue into our next subject, which is another big kaiju reveal. Jonathan, could you start streaming?
All right, give me a moment here. Tell me when we're live.
There we go.
So is this all visible?
I believe. Let me check. And yes, I believe
right.
we're all set. Jonathan.
All right, very good. So this last kaiju should be pretty recognizable, I think, to most people. It's a remodel for Mechagodzilla 2021, and well, this is something that I've personally wanted to do for a very long time, and I've talked about it a lot before. But with this character, the original model is certainly out of date. I feel it needed a remodel almost as much as Biollante or Destoroyah. And for this character, we really wanted to capture the sheer amount of detail that is on that character. And so I'm going to do a little turnaround and kind of show you some stuff here. This is fully in line with our performance requirements, so it shouldn't lag you in game. And then now I'll go into a little bit some of the finer details. So you can see a lot of this, but when you actually zoom in on a lot of areas, we've really filled it to the brim with as much detail as we possibly can. So for example, if I zoom in on the face, everything's modeled to an extreme level of detail. He has individual rivets covering his head, individual webbing. All the mechanical parts are here, and they do function, which is something quite cool to see. He's got these plates around his eyes, and the eyes are movable, so that's quite cool. And they sort of simulate some form of joint that would hold an eyeball in. He's got his grinders in his mouth, top and bottom. And as a small bit of artistic detail, I put some searchlights on him because I thought that was kind of a cool thing from Pacific Rim. One thing I would point out is, while this character has an immense amount of detail, he's actually should be more performant than the old MG21 model in the game. So if you can run the current Mechagodzilla model, you should be able to run this model. I know that's something we've gotten a lot of concern about in the past, but fortunately for everyone, we've been very careful about that, and it should all work out. I do have now we've got some custom materials set up that I'd like to show you for his rendering, which is something like this. This isn't perfectly accurate, but we're trying to capture a little bit of the worn metal look. And I think it does work with the red glow of the tail and all the spines. Now, something much more interesting about this character is not just the fact that he's got a very, very high level of detail. It's that all his detail is functional. So from a modeling perspective, we threw the kitchen sink at this model to make every single thing on him work. If you see a mechanical part on him, it does function. So I'll show some of that right now. Put him in some different poses here. So, let's start. In the arms, for example, if I move his arm backwards, the panels on his arm move to in correspondence to where muscles would actually move. So he's got this panel on the back of his arm that moves to replicate the movement and motion of a tricep. He has his elbow guard here that, well, it protects his elbow, and it moves mechanically with the motion of the arm. On the front of the arm, he has two other working panels. He has this bicep panel that flexes like a bicep, and he's got this panel that is primarily for articulation. So one issue with Mechagodzilla is he's got these very large, almost shield-like panels covering his arms and legs, and it makes it difficult to pose him. So one of the things that I looked into very much was how he moves in the movie. And what we found is that at times he has these panels that shrink away in his elbows and knees, and that's something that we've tried to replicate here for additional functionality. Going on to the shoulders, we have in his underarm here, there is a working piston array that moves outwards with the rotation of the arm. So as the arm moves, the pistons move to compensate for its movement. And so that the pistons don't overextend, we've built in a part here that can move up and down or in and out as necessary. And this all should happen very seamlessly in game. We've taken a lot of care to make sure that happens. Additionally speaking, the gears, which are for some reason shaped like buzzsaws, I guess because he's extra mean. His gears are shaped like buzzsaws, but they do also move when he moves his arm. Another element about him is that his pistons in his shoulder also move in and out as he moves his shoulder around. Additionally, it's very difficult to see, but it does kind of show you the lengths we've gone to. When he moves his shoulder, there's actually a shoulder guard underneath his rocket launchers that covers the movement of the pistons so that he is well protected. Now, next on to the I really like it when Mechagodzilla feels somewhat alive. So something I focused on was how do I make all of this move? I wanted to make him more posable, and I wanted to give him a sense that he was living and breathing, and perhaps even that he was angry. So something that happens in his chest is when you move his chest up, he's got this breathing motion of the panels in his breast. So the neck guard moves up to allow more motion. The breast panels move apart. Again, very much like you're extending your kind of around your sternum and your rib cage is flexing. And it's also limited so it can only work in a way that is mechanically possible, and it all runs extremely smoothly here. In his abdomen, this is a very tricky thing to do. We had to set up an accordion function where all these parts move in line as they do in the movie. This should give him a lot more flexibility in the animations and should really be quite interesting to see. Something else, though, that happens in the chest, and for this I'm going to have to move the arms out a little bit, for which you can see the pistons functioning in there, is he has these panels on the side that function to close the gaps when he rotates his upper body. So that's, as for the body articulation, that's what we've got there. In the legs, if we move down to the feet, should hide this, we have front and rear ankle guards that move to cover the motion of the foot, keep it protected in combat. We also have an automated knee pad that will cover his knees. And as he moves his knees up, these things, whatever they are, they will pump as he moves his knees to allow for more motion, and it really makes him more fluid as he moves. And last but not least level of detail is that the pistons in his hips all function individually to accommodate a very large range of motion. Additionally speaking, this portion in here slides in and out. So when pistons would become over-adjusted or overextended in real life, they can be adjusted so that they flex as desired. And this all provides a very, very smooth and linear motion for the legs. And then the last thing that I'd like to show for Mechagodzilla here is some of his weapons, because every Mechagodzilla needs that. So regarding his tail drill, it transforms from the regular tail. So that can be used, that's pretty cool. But much better than that is the ability to rocket dash, as he does in the movie. So we have full spine control. We also have control of even the internal sections of his rockets inside of him that can be open and closed as we please. And all of this functions while all the other mechanical functions are happening at once. So it's to an extremely high level of detail, and it should perform well in game, and I really can't wait for you guys to see it in game.
All right then. Thank you, Jonathan. Everybody, again, show your appreciation to Jonathan and the sheer masterpiece he has produced right here. Here's another pose real quick of MG21, our upcoming model. Yeah, thank you, Jonathan, for showing it off to us.
Glad to.
All right. With that, we will now be doing a little recap of everything that we've really gone over. The first thing being, we have shown you all Biollante, our next upcoming model, which Zeal has shown for you all in-game. So stay tuned for that. That's coming very soon. Next up, we've got the PR news and the two big PR kaijus that we've shown off to you all. That being Leatherback and Raiju, made by Jamal, our bearded Viking. And yeah, overall, a little more on that. In the near future, we'll be showing off some of their gimmicks through animation after the stream is done in the KU development channel in our Discord. Again, if you haven't already, join our Discord for Prometheo Games. After that, I've gone over the active teaser list, which will, after the stream too, be receiving some updates. With the pre-existing kaijus that are coming, they will receive new teasers. After that, we've shown off some images of Destoroyah, and again, take note, it does not come out until later. It will be coming out somewhere in the future. It will not necessarily be soon. It will be coming out somewhere in the future later. After that, we have, of course, with Jonathan showing off MG21. Again, show him some love for creating that. And working with all of the mechanics and, well, machine-like qualities of the model, which, again, are extremely impressive. And with that, I believe we are starting to round off to the end of the stream. One more time, a goodbye from everyone here. Zeal, our scripter, Zorar, one of the owners and our head developer, Verit, one of the owners and our head scripter, Jonathan, one of our modelers, Jamal, one of our modelers, and me, your host, Dice, the assistant head developer. Thank you all for attending the stream, and we hope to see you all in the near future. Goodbye.
Goodbye, guys.
Goodbye, everyone.